So I have asked ChatGPT to generate 10 college level algebra, trigonometry, and calculus questions for the sake of a video. I will be solving these questions based on the different topics. So this video would be on algebra, there will be a little video on trigonometry and another on calculus. So let's get into it. First algebra question. We are asked to solve the equation 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals 0. Now this is a quadratic equation because the highest power of x here is 2. And so we could solve the equation as a quadratic equation. There are numerous methods of solving the quadratic equation. You could use the quadratic formula, which we derived in a previous video using the completing the square method, which is another method to solve a quadratic equation, or you could try factorizing this equation. The easiest way to solve this would be to use the quadratic formula, which is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all this divided by 2a. Now we'll compare the equation that was given to us in the question with the general form of the quadratic equation, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now we know our a here is 2, b is 5, c is negative 3. So we can impute the values of a, b, and c into the quadratic equation, and we'll end up having a solution. Mind you, because it's a quadratic equation and the highest power of x here is 2, we'll have two solutions for the problem. So we can now say x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 multiplied by a is 2 multiplied by c is negative 3. All of this divided by 2 multiplied by a, which is 2. So we can say x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root. 5 squared is 25. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And negative 8 times negative 3 is a positive 24. All of that divided by 2 times 2 is 4. If we continue the arithmetic, we would have that negative 5 plus or minus the square root now of 49 divided by 4, which is equal to negative 5 plus or minus 7 divided by 4, which is equal to negative 5 plus 7 divided by 4, or negative 5 minus 7 divided by 4. Therefore, our x equals negative 5 plus 7 is 2. 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. Or our x is equal to negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12. Negative 12 divided by 4 is a negative 3. That's the solution for the first problem. For the second problem, we are asked to simplify 3x cubed y squared, the product, of that, and negative 2xy cubed. We are asked to simplify the expression. Now, to simplify means to break it down into smaller terms, or get rid of the brackets in this case. So when we do that, we could multiply each term. This would now have us to rely on our indices. And we could take a note here, the laws of indices, which says if you have x to the a multiplied by x to the b, the same as saying x to the a plus b. And if you have x to the a divided by x to the b, it's the same as saying x to the a minus b. So firstly, we can multiply the numbers, and so we could have 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, and we have x cubed multiplied by x, which the power of x here is just 1. But in mathematics, we do not write 1 when 1 is the power or 1 is the coefficient. If it is greater than 1, then we write the number. But if it's just 1, we do not write the number. So that's just the same as saying negative 6 multiplied by x cubed multiplied by x multiplied by y squared multiplied by y cubed. Now we can rely on the laws of indices here to continue the problem. And so we could say negative 6 x to the 3 plus 1 is just multiplied by y to the 2 plus 3. And then we have negative 6. 3 plus 1 is 4, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So that is the solution to the second problem. Negative 6 x to the 4th multiplied by y to the 5th. We are asked to find the domain of a function f of x, such that f of x equals the square root of 2x plus 5. Now the domain of a function refers to the possible values of the variable, which in this case is x, on the number line that's ranging from negative infinity to positive infinity. Now to find the domain of a function, because for this particular function we are dealing with a square root sign, and so all values of x that we can impute into this function here to end up with another number, be it a whole number or integer or fraction, that we can impute into this function here, it gives another number. Now to find the domain for this specific function, because we're dealing with the square root, we would say 2x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 0. Then we'll solve this inequality. This is not an equation, but this is an inequality. If we had the equivalent sign here, this is what makes it an equation. But because we do not have an equivalent sign, but rather greater than and equal to sign here, it makes this expression an inequality. Now, why are we using greater than or equal to 0? We're using greater than or equal to 0 because we want a number that when we find the value of x from this inequality here and put it into this function, we will have a negative number, which we'll have to find the square root. Because now finding the square root of a negative number gives you an imaginary number. An imaginary number is not a real number. So we are going for greater than or equal to. So that when we solve for x, we can now conclude that we can now conclude that the domain of the function f of x is all values greater than or equal to whatever we solve from here. So when we solve this, we can say 2x is greater than or equal to -5. And there we can say x now is greater than or equal to -5/2, which is the same as say -2.5. Now that we've found x, we can put this in interval form, say that the domain of the function here starts from -5/2 all the way to positive infinity. This is the domain.